Yeah, we are into our next game. So test lobby has been approved. Everybody is good. They're all playing from the exact same state because this is an interstate derby of a match.
Ooh.
Oregon versus Oregon State. They are going to be duking it out. And I got to say, after that one win, this is going to be a tough one for Oregon State, coming in as probably our largest underdogs in all of Summer Series in terms of their qualification path.
That's the interesting thing, too, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, there's these teams that should have made it in, and then Oregon State beat them. And it's like, oh, yeah, but they're like, I think it was, what was it? Dallas and UTA, I think we're in the same bracket, if I'm not mistaken, and both were playing with a sub or two. So it's like, was it a Mickey win? Was it not? I mean, they qualified either way, so that's what matters. You get the $300 guaranteed, even if you place at the bottom half of the standings. But I'm curious to see how these rosters will look.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to look. I'm not sure why everyone is dancing. I'm
assuming Siebes is AFK.
I mean, it seems like we're fine. Okay, everyone is fine. Okay, we're good. Wait. Okay, no, we're good. For a second, I thought I couldn't see the third for Oregon. I was like, oh gosh, did we lose someone? We did not lose anyone.
Like a second to get in there.
Yeah, we are in. So yes, we indeed can start off another league play game for everyone that's new. This is Summer Series, $20,000 league for Eastern and Western North America to compete in. These are all actual collegiate teams that all attend the university or are incoming freshmen or just recently graduated seniors from the spring. So should be a fun time to be able to duke this one out. This is interstate rivalry. Oregon is coming off of a 3-0 victory just about 45 minutes ago over Oklahoma Christian, which is a crazy good result for them, and we'll have to see if Oregon State can muster up some form of upset after that.
I know a lot of people kind of doubting Oregon State when it comes to their potential to make it into the top 6 or make a big impact.
Ooh.
Hey, Private Boy saying don't doubt us with that dunk double tap.
It's like he's listening in and says, listen here. Just be able to put that one right up and over. Siebes did not have that read, and Private Boy knew it. He was able to not even hesitate. Sometimes I feel like when I go for those reads, sometimes I'll see a defender up, and I'll purposely adjust just assuming they have it. But no, Private Boy, he's locked in. He knew exactly what he needed to do.
That's what you need to do against a top team who looked really confident against another top team that we just witnessed and you were just talking about was less than 45 minutes ago. But even then, I mean, this is a whole different best of 5, whole different ball game. You never know what's going to happen and who's going to feel confident. I mean, Lich is definitely a name that we've seen for quite some time and expect some big things from. And this is exactly what we want to see it from this Oregon State University team as they are able to work as an entire squad to get that second goal.
I love that first play by Lich, actually, just being able to go forward and then get the fake underneath, starting that whole kind of domino effect in front of the goal. One player dives in, then they realize, oh no, I have to react, and then they dive in, and then the third person comes in. So as long as rotation's clicking, I mean, it's looking like Oregon State, they're here, they're cooking. They're even potentially getting a double, if not for Siebes stepping in the way on that one.
Imagine Oregon State take a game where Oklahoma Christian could not manage to do one. That would be the most West result we've seen in some time.
That would be very West.
I mean, the defense looking pretty good, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing that I was somewhat concerned about. Oregon State played against UTD on the stream a couple days back, and their defense definitely looked very suspect. They were not getting a lot of clears. It was mostly just them getting vortexed into their half over and over, where it would just clear out to the midfield, go back on goal, back to midfield, back to goal, back to midfield, back to goal. They never were holding on to boost, but now it seems like they're taking 50s, they're following up, they're pre-jumping all these reads, and it's looking a lot more stable. Granted, it's stable up until it isn't, as one Zen gets a carry pass too.
Ooh.
Not nearly enough to beat out profile.
So close, yet so far there. Again, for Oregon to try and get their first goal. And different story than what we saw before in the last series of Oregon against Oklahoma Christian, where there was just a shootout against Oregon, and they had to play defense so much. But it's kind of been an even affair in terms of shots between these teams. A little bit more from Oregon State, but about even saves for the most part, as both these teams, well, they probably played each other a decent amount during the spring since they're both in the same state, is my guess.
I mean, any league is going to put them probably in the same conference if it's a fairly regional league, but either way, I mean, I think it all kind of comes down to whether or not the most recent additions of these rosters that we're seeing right now. This is kind of the old school look for Oregon State. It's kind of the team that's been playing for a while, and then this is obviously the new look Oregon. But I will say that there is some a little bit of rivalry between schools whenever you do play an in-state school. But then outside of that, being able to just completely ascend since then is really what's been impressing me the most. I think if anyone is tuned in to that UTD match and now seeing how UTD or OSU are playing right now, it is actually mind-blowing night and day right now.
And that's the crazy part. Nobody, I think, in the chat voted for Oregon State. Actually, no, some people did. Some people did. 2 people did. So, trying to get all those channel points. We'll see exactly who comes out on top. But even then, I mean, this is not the way we expected Game 1 to go for Oregon State versus Oregon. They're making a big case for themselves and Private Boy specifically. The one who started off with the pop-off play off the backboard with another one here.
What is this? Coming out from the blind side in between 2 defenders and gets that redirect. I love those types of plays. It's one of my favorite things because unless the defense is communicating, there's absolutely no way they can predict that.
That was insane. And this is some insane play from Oregon State who, again, I guess they just know that matchup against Oregon. And that's the big thing that we're witnessing in this Game 1. I have all the confidence. Sorry, my cat muted my microphone for a second.
Classic cat thing. Granted, my cats are too large to fit on my desk, so they never try to jump there anymore. But yeah, that is a constant issue of cats wanting to be right next to you at all times. And also an issue of wanting to be on the backboard at all times if you're Siebes. It's the first real chance it feels like Oregon has had in quite some time, and even still, not really able to generate anything from it. In fact, One-Zen is going to go all the way back, just kind of giving up on that attack.
Less than a minute. Not a single goal for Oregon. Might be a chance, but even then, not feeling as confident as they would like in this specific matchup. So, questionable start for Oregon, but a lot of this has just been the pop-off from Oregon State, which, hey, they just had to pop off a couple of times to qualify for Summer Series. Now they're here, and they're trying to showcase their skill.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we talk about a lot of teams saying, well, I mean, this team isn't that good compared to other teams, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you get into Summer Series or really any CRL level event, you're one of the best teams in the nation, and they will not be able to do that in a shutout. Sometimes it's a bit too much to ask. One-Zen finally getting something on the board.
One of the best players in the West this season as well. Definitely look out for them to pop off. And Eminent and One-Zen were the stars of the show for the most part in that last game with the majority of the goals, only 2 of them going to Siebes and really playing that more supporting role. Even then, though, not much time and not enough chances unless they've got like a kickoff goal and then some to really push it into that OT. So I'll be looking forward to the next game, but dropping a game here against Oregon State University. A huge game win for Oregon State, but games only matter so much when you have to take the entire series to guarantee your spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is a very classic situation for a lot of teams find themselves in, is that, and honestly, this is the bait that we got baited into with Northwood for so many years, where you'd see them like, oh, they're unbeatable, they can't be touched, and then they lose Game 1 like in a decent fashion, and they're like, oh, wow, they kind of got outplayed there. And then they're like, oh, is this the series where we see them kind of fall out? And then they just win straight up more. So that's unfortunate. Alas, to gamble on the winner. Well, Jada Man, if you actually got here on time, you would have had a 5-minute window in which to predict, and you didn't. So highly unfortunate. I mean, I'm not going to put a prediction out. Yeah, I'm not going to put a prediction out after games have already been played. Then it's kind of, you're getting informed opinion. Man, yeah, I'm sorry, Jada Man. Sorry, you snooze and you very much lose out, unfortunately.
As Oregon lost out there to Oregon State in Game 1, but West being West is what I can chalk that first game up to. But again, is that just an outlier in Oregon's performance throughout Summer Series, or is Oregon State more of a contender than people are realizing? And that is the big question that'll be answered in Game 2. If Oregon State take this, then I think a lot of people are going to have to reassess their thoughts about them, but one's it's saying, hey, we still got this.
Once it says, well, I'm him, so, or rather just nah, I'd win. Because, yeah, setting up the open double tap right off the kickoff, it's never going to end any other way. And that's just a reminder, Oregon State might have played super well in that game number 1, but 7 seconds into game number 2, game 1 doesn't mean anything. You got to win the rest of the series, as you mentioned.
That you do. Huge bounce back for One-Zen. Profile really trying to bait out the entire defense, but only one player going up for it, wisely so. And that really just goes to show the threat assessment of Oregon compared to what we saw from Oklahoma Christian in the last game, is that they know when to challenge as a squad or individually to send a single player up. Or it seemed like that wasn't as coordinated in Oklahoma Christian's favor before, but a good shot from Profile. A lot of power behind it, but not exactly where they wanted to be. Imminent, though, off the backboard. Doesn't even need to go off the backboard, actually. Snuck right underneath the crossbar, and, well, there's the Oregon we're used to seeing.
That was kind of a sneaky play as well from Oregon, because you had Imminent coming off to get the save. Then I believe you had Siebes on the sidewall going for the touch, and then deliberately doesn't touch it because Oregon State was waiting for that. Imminent then jumps on it, baits in the third player, and then they just lob it right over. So pretty textbook counterattack coming through from Oregon. Not just all mechanics, it is a little bit more that strategery, using the brain to be able to outthink their opponents. And this is where I start to get worried. As we said, Vod, like Oregon State looking great, but now they're not necessarily getting the same shot efficiency off that they were accustomed to.
That's the biggest qualifying factor, I guess you could say, for top teams. A lot of teams can play well when they're up and ahead and they get an early goal, but not many teams, and really separates the cream of the crop from the rest of the competition, can come back when they are down and get a victory afterwards. And so far we haven't been able to see much from Oregon State here. Really need to see if they are worth their medal in this matchup against Oregon. And currently, I mean, it's only been a minute and a half, but even then, tough signs for them so far, as we haven't really seen a... Well, every time I start talking, I start caster cursing Oregon, it seems. Because profile looks insane.
That is goal of the day. Look at that. Off the ceiling with the reset. And that is the danger. You said profile, we've been going and looking at them, getting the air dribbles, getting in all those fakes, and that's exactly why the fakes work, because they have that pop-off potential. And what a way to get your team back into it.
I just got to remain silent for a second for Oregon's hopes. But even then, once in, does get challenged out by the defense. And Oregon State, this is the big thing that a lot of teams coming into Summer Series for maybe the first time or first time in a while, is that they have nothing to lose. And I think that's a big factor here for Oregon State. And somehow that doesn't go in, blessed by the post. And we'll thankfully take that into the corner away. But there's another shot coming through. Almost had a Goomba stomp from their own teammate. Does get saved away instead, but dangerous position, even still being close. 1 goal differential between these two teams, but Oregon, they know that they can't afford to give another crazy opportunity to their opponents.
Ooh, Rich going for the double tap. Yeah, and that really, I thought that was going to be it, and honestly, the defense is kind of why they froze in place. I don't think they really anticipated that one not going on target eventually, as Lich and Private Boy will slowly migrate from east to west, from left to right, whatever, across the goal. And I think being able to patrol their midfield, continue their boost grabs, I think is going to be a paramount concern. That was one thing that they were not really locked in on, as they're doing a 1-2-1-2 passing play, and then Private Boy trying to come in and help, but immediately gets slapped back into his half.
Ping pong, but it didn't quite work out in their favor to score a point. And instead, past the halfway point of this game, Siebes looking to be the star of the show this time, but denied by profile yet again. And some great defensive efforts that we've seen from Oregon State. 5 saves to their name, Profile and Lich with 2 apiece. And Oregon have had to make 3 saves themselves. Plenty of shots. A lot more confident in that factor for Oregon in this game compared to the last one too. So big benefit for them if they can hold on to this 1-goal lead, but you know they want more where that came from. It's been some time since they scored their last goal.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly see whether or not Lich is going to get on top of this one, but seems like the defense slowly solidifying. Oregon's going to have to hope that they can do the same. Touches like that are always going to be a little bit antsy. I like that from Siebes, not throwing it away, just staying in front, trusting the 50, and now trusting his teammates to go down the field. One's then try to cross up the defense, but Oregon State not falling for it.
This might be a chance for Siebes here. Baits out one defender, goes for the shot, denied by Profile. The follow-up, though, from Imminent Lynch. Plenty of room to work with. Might have been better for Siebes to, instead of waiting in the net, go for a potential bump, but didn't have any boost to work with, so just tried to stay out of the way, wisely so. I've seen many own goals, and myself included, happen in those moments. But even then, still a chance for Oregon State. Oh, no!
Wow.
I was expecting that to hit the post. I think they were hoping for something to work in their favor there, but a great touch by Eminent and an easy goal. I think that might wrap up this game, depending on how the next 47 seconds go.
I swear every goal from Imminent has been like that. It's just been like a longer hit, like all the way down the field, a roller into an open net or something. They're just opportunistic. I have to say, that play was made by Siebes getting a pre-flip with 0 boost into a catch and then the immediate reset. And apparently it's made by him yet again, just kind of slowly waiting for the 50. And despite how well Oregon State has played in game number 1, welcome to the rest of the series.
Welcome back to the Oregon State regular scheduled programming. We're here for Oregon, showcasing why they are a team that took down Oklahoma Christian in a sweep. But even then, time ticking down. Technically chances for Oregon State, but I talked about it before at the beginning of this series, or this game specifically, is that it's really difficult for a lot of these teams that are kind of towards the bottom end of the rankings, you could say, for Summer Series to come back when they're down, and we haven't quite seen that just yet, other than sparks of brilliance from Profile and the rest of their teammates on Eastern, not Eastern Oregon, esports at Oregon State University.
Yeah.
EAOSU always confuses me.
Yeah,
that's the name they went by.
they should just go by Oregon State. I'm sorry. Like, I understand there's like a thing where it's like, it's a club team. You can't legally say that it's the official team. And I'm like, shut up. Like, no one on cast is going to say EAOSU. So either way, looking like a fat dub for the Ducks. They're going to be bringing home one to even us up here. So being able to get into the rest of the series, and now everything's kind of wide open. We've had a pretty solid victory from the Beavers, I believe, on Oregon State, and now the Ducks answering back.
The Beavers tried to build a dam defensively, and it just did not work out well enough for them. Plenty of saves came through, 8 in total from Oregon State, so could have easily been a lot larger of a margin between these two teams, but even then, did not prove to be enough for Oregon State to have those counterattacks that we saw be so effective in that last series from Oregon against Oklahoma Christian University. So another 5 minutes of the clock. This is the time for either of these teams to take the advantage and get the lead for themselves, and potentially the rest of the series. A double tap. Seeves trying to give them a taste of their own medicine at Oregon State University.
Yeah, that was almost
it won't be successful.
That was almost a remix of the One Zen double tap to start off game number 2, but that's not going to go in. Maybe even on the flip reset will, as there's just not enough resources in the tank for Oregon State.
Tough spot to be in, too, defensively. Profile did have enough resources, but not the best challenge, and that last touch by Imminent made it so Profile didn't have the best angle for it. They didn't feel confident, and they should have, I think, just gone straight for the defender because their teammate was right behind them, so at least they'd have another chance for a save. But panic on the backboard, panic on the back end, and difficult position to find yourselves in against a tough Oregon team who, as we mentioned, just recently took down Oklahoma Christian.
And again, this is a team that's really fighting for these wins, and on paper, this is really one of those games that when you're searching for playoffs, you cannot drop. You absolutely have to win these games. Oregon State is technically a team that should be not qualifying in for playoffs, struggling a bit more just because they are kind of the rookie team into a lot of these kind of more hardcore CRL competitions. So when you do have these games for Oregon, you see them struggling, you start to wonder, but I do also hope, because I'm always a fan of the underdog, whether or not Oregon State can march on back in here.
Ooh.
So tough, though, when Oregon State is peaking so much on the counterattack. Can they get it back to the player? Lich just does not have enough.
Tough angle to make, too. They knew they had to go for some kind of a challenge, and there's one there. Oh, Seebs jumping when they should have just stayed grounded. Expected a bit of a change up here. Imminent went for the clear out, too, but lost control of the ball, and Private Boy with the dunk. Same for Profile onto One Zen, and that's a difficult spot to be in for Oregon, but a great challenge to even things up for Oregon State.
Well, as we will continue on our path through, it's going to be Oregon State being opportunistic. It seems like they do have that kind of poacher mentality when the ball's right in front of the goal and they can hop on top of it, and it seems like they're getting that as well on defense, as that one is going to rob a goal. Maybe not on this one. It's just simply not escaping the half. Imminent, again, hopping on top.
Whew. Look away for a second, and there's already another goal for Oregon. And this is kind of the expectation. We talked about that in the last game as well, Taco. It was like, there's teams like Northwood that drop a game, and then we come to expect, they're just usually going to drop a game to adjust the rest of the series. Well, that's kind of what we're seeing here for Oregon against Oregon State. The question, though, is can they sneak down underneath the crossbar? Would have been huge if Oregon State could have done that, but not successful there. Unfortunately, they can't get it activated on time and in the right trajectory for that goal for Oregon State, and they're going to be wanting that one back wholeheartedly.
David asking me in the YouTube chat, can you commentate with an accent? I don't know if I have an accent locked and loaded well enough to be even able to try it. Technically, I did that with a golf accent. I tried like a British accent, but I don't know if I could actually realistically do that in any fashion other than straight up meme. Yeah, it was a whisper. They donated $10. Like, can you just do a whisper cast like the way that golf commentators do it? And I did that for a whole 5-minute rank game. So Maybe in the future we'll test that out. But for right now, it is going to stay just my regular voice, and it's going to also stay 2-1. But I don't know how long it's going to be like that because Oregon is just really heating up here, albeit with some occasional double commits.
Bit questionable, but I respect it. They wanted to send it the distance, and we're expecting that to go through afterwards. And the counterattacks we're expecting from Oregon again. All the expectations for them denied by Lich on the way back. Barely getting there in time. Perfect interception as they send it forward. Yet again, Lunzen. These slowdowns in their own defensive half, really buying them some time to work with and get their teammates boosted up. And Lich, no, you needed that angle to tie things up.
I think that was one of those moments where he knows he has to get to it quickly, so he gets to it quickly, and then halfway through realizes, oh, I probably could have taken a little bit of time there. But, you know, gonna sting a bit, but it's not like that was the last shot of the game. Plenty of more opportunities to be created, especially with a 50 like that, directly into, I would say, the ceiling. He's gonna leave it for Profile. That's an open shot, and it's a brilliant one from Profile yet again.
Huge from Profile. And Profile really coming up big for this team out of Oregon State. Liking the looks from them. I mean, Private Boy started off strong in game one, and then Lich really being there just to round things out for their roster. So curious to see how the rest of this game goes for these players. Profile with 4 shots and 2 goals for their team, really keeping the offense going. But again, not much defensive efforts from their side as they are keeping the pressure going. Yet again, another great shot going by the wayside.
Oh, wow, that's actually going to have to be a reach and a half from Profile. Just barely beating out Siebes. He was already up for it. As Lunzen down the back end will try for the catch into the ceiling. That's going to be a bit of a giveaway as Private Boy will roll that underneath. Now the follow-up from Lich will pass middle, but nobody there actually from Oregon State except for Siebes. Is that a flipper set? No, he's just going to extend it one more. Profile making his impact on defense as well. Use the bar for the save.
Epic save again from Profile there. Talked about the defense struggling a little bit for Oregon State, and they step up when it matters, but time ticking down, and so are the chances for either squad to close things out in regulation. Might have our first overtime of the night, but even then, you know, Oregon and Oregon State are not wanting that to happen. Oregon State looking for a victory in this game, but can't get it into the center of the box to save their life. And their life might be lights out with that shot one underneath for Imminent, denied for Siebes again.
You were saying Oregon State in their former matches on stream actually were really struggling with defense. They're getting a lot of saves, but not much else. And now they're really living on a prayer. Profile left alone. Siebes tries to slow play. The air dribble, not going to work. Lunzen, plenty of boost. Might be able to get the pass inside instead of just a high lob. Had to question that one. I thought Imminent might have been someone he could utilize, but it is all fine. They're ticking down. They're certainly going to get the last looks of this half as they continue to terrorize that Oregon State back line. Lunzen accidentally gets the clear. And as we go back into midfield, it looks like, indeed, we are looking for our overtime. Really a rare thing within the series we've seen tonight.
Truly, a much closer game in this series than the last one.
Yeah.
And we would have expected going into the day, that would have been the opposite affair. So I'm curious to see how this goes, but of course, Lunzen popping off like always, denied by the crossbar for a second. Private Boy barely saving that away, but the pressure is still mounting for Oregon. They are looking to close things out. They don't want anyone to doubt them whatsoever after their previous victory, and if they don't get this game win, doubts will definitely be in our minds. And, well, thankfully enough, Oregon State have all the doubt in their minds enough to fuel them forward and get it away from their side of the field.
Yeah, despite how close all these shots have gotten and hearing me yelp in the background as you're trying to commentate what's going on here, I'm just really impressed by the positioning of Oregon State. I can't really say the same about Oregon. What a fumble in the back. Oregon State on the match point.
West being West yet again, but we got to give credit where it is due to Lich with the patience. Lich has really struggled a couple times to be accurate and wait for those moments throughout this specific game. And now their time to shine in the highest stress moment of the game, of the series potentially, in overtime. You see the 2 defenders fly past you. You don't know where the third is. Good communication by the defense, or by their teammates, excuse me, to make sure that they can take their time, get the shot lined up, and get that open net opportunity for the game win from Oregon State, who, again, a lot of people going into this week were thinking they were the 32 out of 32 seeded team, and now they potentially might take a win against Oregon.
I mean, I can't even believe that's the way that ends in overtime. Like, no one was even up for that. That's the thing that blows my mind. Like, that was just pure. I'm almost going to guess that was One Zen and I believe Siebes on that going, and at the same time calling each other off. Like, oh, my bad, leaving. And then they just kind of flew out. But regardless, yeah, that's got to hurt. Oregon State going to squeak on by. But I have to say, they're doing great. That's 11 shots for them to the good. Granted, they're also getting 9 saves, but a win is a win. I will take that, and especially going forward when you're fighting for these games. I mean, it's going to matter quite a lot for Oregon State to get this game differential. They are bare minimum guaranteed to be able to go to 5, even if they lose this one. But wow, this could be what a back-to-back performance. Oregon taking down one of the best teams in the West to potentially now fall to their in-state rivals.
I'm wondering if Oregon just had cats in front of their faces. Like I did just that
entirely could be.
Maybe they are just distracted like I am for a second there, but they can't be distracted for too much longer. They have to get this game win. Otherwise, they are going to be giving up a loss to Profile here. Specifically, so consistent is Oregon State with these kickoff goals.
Yeah, I really feel like Oregon State is looking great, but I have to say Profile is him tonight.
Truly.
He is looking incredible on everything. Bass from the past is watching, and he's chatting in our Caster Discord group chat saying, what am I watching right now? He cannot believe
what
is going on. Yeah, Western Conference Rocket League for the collegiate side is always so chaotic for no reason. Of course, this is going to be, one of the better series that we've seen in a while, and especially from Oregon State coming in as really a team that not a lot of people believed in.
The big underdogs, but they'll still continue to be underdogs if they can't close things out here against Oregon. This is a huge win for them if they are successful, and it didn't know the post again. Could have been denied by their own teammate, but thankfully once it did get past the goal line enough for the ball to pass through them, and that will be a tied-up game. One's should have closed things out, but couldn't quite get it.
That's a rare moment where Oregon State did not choose the optimal path to that one. You can see Private Boy, I think, driving at that one, and he actually front flips in front of Onezen's touch. I think because he thought that it was going to be a pass back, but if he just stayed still, maybe could have been a save. Who really knows? Regardless, it is back to an even score line, and now we can see whether or not Oregon is going to settle on down. You know that miss to end the last game in overtime is definitely going to be haunting them.
Well, there's still plenty of time to make up for it here, and usually the one we see doing that is Onezen on this Oregon roster. Siebes, awkward positioning there, which led them to a vulnerability on defense, does get shored up by Imminent for a moment, as they did get taken out of the equation with the demo. Dangerous position again, but Imminent being on that back end made it easily for them to clear it out themselves, and a double touch by Profile onto the sidewall even gave some more opportunities for a clear out for the side of Oregon State. But this midfield battle that we are witnessing between these two teams eventually has to go one way, and it looks like Oregon has the lead for a second. Good passes back and forth, but not the best positioning there. Boost over ball, but you really didn't expect that shot to come in that direction.
Yeah, that pass from Oregon, they were trying to overcomplicate things, tried to lay it back down into kind of a short layoff, and it did not work out. This pass, certainly a decent attempt. That clear should be just off target, as I was not entirely sure, but
the ghost touch.
Even still, yeah, there's ghost touches, there's these kind of bumps in the midfield, there's boost steals. This is just, I don't know, down and dirty, it feels like.
It really is. I mean, this is the most Western gameplay we've seen in some time, but I can only say that so many times before we got to keep ragging on kind of the mistakes that we're seeing from both of these rosters, or just mishaps on the sidewalls. And Profile, not the best control. Same for Lich on that play, and that might lead to an open opportunity for the side of Oregon. They need to take advantage of it here and now. Centered for a moment, but no follow-up afterwards. Imminent's in a bad spot. Siebes, huge win on that challenge. Otherwise, could have easily been a goal.
Lich going to take over from Private Boy. Has got plenty of boost in his compatriot behind him. And he will actually beat out that first Oregon defender, as Onezen will take it down. Gets the defection clear. Private Boy way too far back. That's why Lich is just kind of holding it up. And I like these kind of higher lobs. Even if they don't go anywhere, it forces Oregon to kind of take a deep breath, be like, ugh, fine, and then slow down and then reassess their positioning. That doesn't let them get a lot of head full of steam type of plays start going. And now with Onezen missing, potentially passing over to Profile. Could have been disastrous. Luckily, that one's not on target.
There's been so many close calls for both sides of the pitch. We've seen a lot of opportunities for Oregon go by the wayside. Oregon State, I mean, they haven't gotten as many opportunities as they would like. They've only had 3 shots themselves, but this has been a low-shooting affair between both these teams going into the last minute and a half. I mean, 5 shots from Oregon, 3 shots for Oregon State, the least amount of shots we've seen total at this point in time this entire series. So, talked about that midfield battle we've been seeing, and that tends to be continuing for the most part. Siebes trying to slow things down, go for a delayed flick of some point, but it's not going to get the flip reset that they're looking for. Profile, time to work with, but no boost. Lich, there's the angle, but not the right positioning. Unfortunate for them, because that's where they could have taken it.
And Private Boy, I do like the trust in his teammates. Hits it back on the back pass, and now enables Lich to get the double tap off the sidewall. Imminent gonna hold this one up as Sieves kind of just sitting beneath him. Not a huge fan of that positioning, but he will take over.
No boost,
unfortunately, immediate giveaway. So now Oregon State potentially can build. Lovely catch by Lich, be able to take that 50, dish in middle, and that's going to be a dive in from Profile. Glances off the post. It's underneath the read. Sieves coast to coast. It won't be stopped.
Of course, that's how the goal goes in. Everyone's out of boost. I was thinking about that the entire time. Private Boy used everything to go for the challenge and didn't have the right adjustment in the air to connect with it. Left them wide open for the classic counterattack of Oregon, and that'll easily go through, and they're counting their lucky stars, but it won't be enough for them to get past that finish line just yet. Still time remaining for Oregon State to pop off. Profile specifically that we've seen for the majority of this series. One simple touch, and that could be all that she wrote for at least the regulation time and another OT potential. But even then, with time ticking down, Oregon need to close this out, force a game 5. For the sake of my channel points as well, I bet all of them on Oregon, and well, I might be cursing them a little bit, but I'm hoping that they can at least force a game 5 here.
And it's always like that, right? When you're like, okay, after what I just saw in the last series, I'm super confident. And then immediately it's like, oh, okay, of course. Yeah, the moment I have stakes in this. But either way, we have maybe one more chance for Oregon State to maybe amend for this, as that clear will go all the way down. Smart play by Imminent. He will take back to his half.
Huge.
It will stay aloft, so he will have to take at least one more 50, as Private Boy will dive in a bit too late. And what do you know? After the marquee matchup earlier, disappointing, this one is going the distance in the in-state rivalry.
This is the only way it could go, but I really don't want this last game to just be a blowout by Oregon. By them just getting like 4 goals to like 1 or 2 from Oregon State. Please let it be close. Go to an OT. Give us what we want for this game 5, but we don't know if that's what's going to happen because I think both of these teams are starting to have their beats per minute go up a little bit too high and might be having a heart attack on the field if things continue much longer the way that they have been.
Yeah. Shu, I agree with in chat. Sometimes you scroll into a good series from Chill Cat Dad, but for Shu, it says, if OSU wins, the Taco Vod combo is absolutely cursed, which I can't really deny. How many upsets, how many crazy, weird scorelines have we been privy to? So I guess it's maybe it's better that we didn't stay together on the Shopfire Belly and Team Stream.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably why they kept losing when we were on that one.
That could be the case, but we'll have to see what happens here for Oregon specifically. As again, we talked about the upset with Oklahoma Christian University, how they got upset by Oregon. This would be an even bigger upset, in my opinion, if Oregon State take down Oregon in this matchup. And questionable challenge from Siebes, but I think it's more of the pressure of the situation that they know this is a must-win game for them, and well, Lich is going to be the one to pop off this time. Perfect setup by Profile.
I didn't think that was going to be much of a chance, but that gas was really just because I saw Imminent jump over the demo attempt, and then as he landed, I was like, he's a little bit off center on that one. Going to go through, and again, Oregon State coming through with a nice quick start, and honestly, if that's enough for him, then I guess we'll see. But really, this has not been a low-scoring series at all. It feels like a lot of these games are coming down to a lot of individual moments. One's then the confidence you have to clear it off your own post.
Directly headed straight for a disaster and turning away at the last moment to get that aside. Confidence is really an understatement in that moment for them, but this is the confidence we expect from the side of Oregon. Not the best play defensively to clear things out from their opponents, but the pinch was a blue trail and just missed out on the bounce, which was so fast and 114 kilometers per hour. It kind of makes sense with that speed coming off the wall.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure for Private Boy. Not really a miss that you can afford to make, but that's also just the situation that you find yourself in where the other team getting on every single read so quickly. You feel like you have to go so quickly, but then half the time you jump for it, you miss, and then you somehow get bailed out. Lich, what was that?
Save of the day so far. I mean, that I blinked and thought it was going to be a goal easily for the side of Oregon, and this could easily be one for Lich if they get it away, but no boost to the tank yet again, having to use everything and then some to go for the challenge and at least set up an opportunity for their teammates, but the demo does give them some breathing room for a moment.
I gotta say, Lich has definitely been heating up. He's been getting some solid 50s. He's carrying the ball forward well. He's really trying to make sure he's baiting in Oregon on every single touch. And honestly, that's the player for me that Oregon should definitely be watching out for, especially now the profile. Not just like cooling down, but hasn't been able to have those series-defining peak goals that he's been hitting a little bit earlier on. Despite all that, doesn't mean Oregon State is really out of the woods either. I think the defense, the number one thing for me, you mentioned, I don't want it to be an Oregon blowout. And while I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it would be, we've seen this a lot, where teams go all the distance and then the nerves get to them. And then the favorite kind of slowly shows why they were the ones that were going to be predicted to win. And right now, it doesn't seem like that narrative has too much truth to it, as Oregon really struggling to get this one out. That's wide open.
Imminent. Oh, just gave it away completely to them. I saw the vision. I saw what they were going for here. Tried to get that second touch to send it away directly to the other side, but trying to just be too fancy on this clear out, where instead they should have taken their time, and it's going to bite them in the back. And that's what we see happen here yet again. Nobody there to back them up. And I was thinking to myself, Imminent, they're going to have to be the one to step up to the plate, to be that defensive player. They're the one that got them the win to force a game 5. Well, they might be the reason why they lose this one.
And that's a tough one because it was the timing as well. I mean, going for a double tap on the defense isn't typically the hardest read to be able to get, but it's something that is under pressure because the demo happened behind him, so he knew he had to get that touch off. Maybe a little bit of chance for redemption from Oregon. That's a rough touch from Siebes. Going for a double, not even finding it down the middle. Profile on the counter, trying to lob it over Imminent, and that will not go through.
We might be officially cursed here, boys, but it is saved by Imminent somehow underneath the crossbar. Onesin can't get the challenge. Profile really popping off yet again. Tried to clear out the goalie, and Siebes staying alive just long enough to keep their dreams into the second half alive for Oregon. Profile, again, speaking of, quickly taking control of the ball to send it on over. Their teammate bailing out. And I don't think that was the wisest decision, but they do have some room to work with defensively, and they keep control of the ball for now.
Lich falling underneath the pinch down, nearly bamboozles Imminent. You can see him kind of panicking on that free flip, but doesn't really matter. Oregon State looking more and more confident, especially through the midfield, but as we've seen plenty of team do, you could get overconfident, leave a counterattack on the table. Siebes over the bar, someone trying to drive in. Imminent gets a 50, muscles it through for the equalizer.
Imminent with both goals in this game for their team. Huge setup by Siebes, knew that there wasn't really anyone going to be able to challenge that too well, and that's an unfortunate defensive play by, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Private Boy going for that challenge, because there's 2 defenders that could have gone for it afterwards, but just an odd loss of that 50-50 really led to that goal happening from Imminent. So bad spot to be in defensively for the side of Oregon State, but Private Boy making up for it here.
Lich, what a pass off the ceiling, double tap, and then gets the flick at a right angle for Siebes. He's thinking it's all done. No, it is just begun. Private Boy more than making up for that miss earlier on. And now that's another lead for Oregon State.
If you can see my face right now, I am just utter shock and terror on what is happening in this series.
West.
This is a great series.
Yes.
It's not the best series, but it is a great series.
It's entertaining, albeit a little bit dirty. Onesin looking for something filthy on the backboard. No double tap to be found. I will say, if they cleaned up the mistakes, I still think this would be entertaining. A lot of bump attempts, a lot of solo plays. It has to rely on a lot of like cohesion on kind of these like 1-2 touches, but either way, we're 40 seconds away from a crazy result. Siebes maybe trying to go a little bit further. Imminent wide open, and that is again bringing us level.
I talked about it before, where this game, this series, this team lives or dies by Imminent, and yet again it comes true. A hat trick for them, really stepping up to the plate for their team to try and carry them past that finish line. 2 saves, 5 shots, and 3 goals, and actually they're the only player on their team with any shots.
Yeah, it's some wild statistics that we're slowly starting to see, but I will say from these squads, this is really what we were talking about with West gameplay. It can be really chaotic, but even beyond that, just in collegiate play, there's so many series like this where you try to do the transitive property of, well, this team didn't play well against another team, and blah, blah, blah. But no, Oregon just beat one of the best teams in the West, and now they are really struggling against a team that some people said shouldn't have even been here. Final seconds, Private Boy looking for a double. That's a miss in the backfield. Luckily, no one there, so Siebes going to take one last shot at almost no boost. Going for a double, does not have it. And how else could it end, Vodible? Game 5 OT.
Let's see a kickoff goal here from Oregon State. They've been consistent with it, but no confidence there. They are going to take it a little bit easier, and Private Boy does deflect to the side. Siebes nothing to work with. An imminent wise decision on the back pass to ones, and no boost to work with. No small pads either, and it is going to be a challenge the other way, and quickly fizzling out the early offensive attack from this OT. Drop down, though, in front of the box, and Onesin saves the day.
Yeah, that was almost looking like it was going to go in that back post. And I have to say, Oregon looking very cautious in this OT. Already a couple tacks. The ball will go forward. It's bouncing, kind of interesting. And then I look back, and 2 players are in their half just waiting to get that clear. So probably just waiting for those classic kind of bounces out. But it seems like Oregon State is the same way. That could have very well been the equalizer, or the winner, rather, if they just jumped on top of it. But instead, they're going to kind of sit back, wait for something. A bit higher percentage, like Profile going for a double. He is smacked out of the way. Private Boy, maybe with a shot. Pass down, and Lich is on the wrong side.
The backflip from Onesin too. The panic is coming out from Oregon. They know they can't afford to lose this, and that is all that is on their mind. Their opponents have nothing to lose, and they want this victory. They want to prove that they are bottom of the barrel, that it wasn't a chance that they made it into CR, well, not CRL, but, you know, Summer Series, basically the same thing at this rate. But still, time is passing by at a snail's pace in this OT. It's felt like an eternity for both these squads, as one of them has to rise to the challenge and pop off, or maybe just another mistake by the way the series has been going. Onesin looking for the finish, can't get it though, has it set up in front of the net, Siebes off the backboard, and will fizzle out for a moment, as it does get denied right in front of the box. I don't know how that didn't go in.
And this is something the Ducks have been very good at, is knowing when to dive in, when the ball is definitely getting chaotic, as Oregon State not able to get their clears. But the lead demo, that could have been open if that shot came in 2 seconds before. Instead, we're going to kind of slowly migrate over to Oregon half as Private Boy is left alone. Siebes on the air dribble. He's actually able to get that first touch. Profile with a follow-up 50, and it continues to swing back and forth. But which way the pendulum's actually going to land, I have no idea.
A demo is huge, and Onesin on that initial play should have just gone for the bump onto Private Boy. Would have been an open net opportunity for the finish, but they aren't feeling as confident with that. And speak about it, though, there is the Goomba stop, and the follow-through from Imminent. The goal comes through, and the clutch-up factor from Oregon.
And I have to say, it starts off Onesin slamming that one to the ceiling, making sure it's a hard read. Absolutely 0 boost in the tanks on Oregon State, and that's the way it's going to end. Heck of an effort, but unfortunately, going to be an L in the column for the longer team name. Oregon getting their second win on the day, but did it take some doing? 8 shots, 4 goals from Imminent. My goodness.
Wow. That was one of the series of all time that we have seen in the West. Not the way we expected it to go, but yet again, unfortunate for Oregon State University. Their second game to not be exactly how they wanted it to throughout this competition. But hey, I mean, they had some sparks of brilliance there. It's just the consistency. It's just those sloppy plays that we saw happen a couple of times. If they can clean those up, they'll be looking a lot more confident. But unfortunate for them, they lost the OT, and it all at the end of the day matters the most on who wins the series at the end of that.